もりの RPG スクール日記です。体験版でも色々やれるみたいなので、頑張って作ってみたいと思います。初心者なので単純な作品から作る予定。
あっそ。楽しみ。
現代を舞台にした RPG を作りたいけど、マップチップとかがあまり見つからない。
早くやらせて。
RPG より自身の人生作りなよ。
いざ作るとなると、何を作ればよいのかわからなくなりますな。よし、引きこもりの青年が幽体離脱して大冒険する RPG にするぜ。うひゃ全く進まない。素材集めるだけで一苦労だ。全然進みません。夜中ずっと起きてたので、今日はずっと寝てました。無理、暇ない、あるけどない。昨日からロムってるだけなんだけどあいつ一人で荒れてんな笑う。
Dogma no Hakoniwa is a personal hell simulator developed by Motaro, an RPG maker, and released in 2008. It's the familiar story of unlikely heroes coming together to defeat an ancient evil and save the world, and also about the agonizing process of creating said story, or anything at all. Dogma is actually the first of many entries in the Motaro cinematic universe, being followed up by various sequels, spin-offs, and visual novels. The mainline pentalogy is composed of Dogma, The Torn Badar, Alice's Specimen Box, Poison Selection, and finally Shunia's Empty Box. This is the order in which Motaro's personal blog displays them, so there's no arguing with that. Unfortunately, only Dogma is available in English at the moment, thanks to a very recent translation by Rusty Cradle. I immediately noticed an interesting trend among the game titles, how most of them refer to a person and then a place that belongs to them. Dogma no Hakoniwa can be literally translated as Dogma's miniature garden, bringing to mind a small artificial world totally at the mercy of its creator. Rusty Cradle makes this even more obvious by translating the title as Dogma's Playthings. The next entry with this naming scheme is Alice's Specimen Box, which suggests a more clinical, apathetic worldview. It's no longer a living world crafted to someone's whims. You're merely an observer taking stock of what remains. Shunia's Empty Box is the last game in the series. As far as I can tell, the name Shunya is a deliberate invocation of sunyata, the Buddhist concept of nothingness. There's been a hard turn from scientific detachment to spirituality, as if so little remains of the world that it can no longer be objectively monitored. The game straight up doesn't have a title screen. No text, no illustration, no music. Just pure white and the sound of birds in the background. Even a surface-level glance reveals some impressive thematic progression between these games. Truthfully, I'm pretty butthurt that I can't play any of them, as they seem to take everything I like about Dogma and ramp it up further each game. It feels stupid trying to analyze something I know is part of a much bigger picture I don't have access to, but thankfully Dogma does work pretty well as a self-contained project. We start with a flashback. The seasoned adventurer Jazo learns of a powerful evil presence that's resurfaced in the distant country of Rakilni. Without a second thought, he leaves his family and hometown behind, vowing to slay the evil and return safely. After arriving at Rakilni Castle, he meets 3 fellow heroes who were summoned here from all over the world. Sero, the warrior poet famous for turning his exploits into novels. Dar, a scary-looking swordsman who's actually a tree-hugging animal lover beneath his tough exterior. He's currently accompanied by a sparrow named Dunkichi. And last but not least, we have Baltine, a powerful wizard and healer from the village of Tuchan. The actual situation at hand is confusing, to say the least. We do learn the evil entity's name, Dogma. Dogma once threw the world into a great war by driving men insane with his laughter from outer space. The same laughter now heard by people all over the world in their dreams. Perhaps all the chaos and death during the war was enough to pacify it for a while, but now and once more. The rulers of Rakilni have constructed an arcane transport device called the Flying Stone, basically a magical spaceship they would use to fly to the moon where Dogma resides and destroy him once and for all. It's a nice thought, but we'll have no such luck. Everything goes to hell as soon as Jazo meets the king, who wastes no time in revealing that he, along with the castle guard, have been fully corrupted by Dogma and converted into vessels for his will. The heroes walked right into a trap, and there's no way out. Ten years have passed. Dogma's endless torment has driven all of humanity into madness and despair. Those who give their souls to him eventually become twisted abominations roaming the land and killing all in their path. We take control of Jazo's son, and then the game truly begins. Alright, bye mom, I'm gonna buy a knife and stab everyone I see outside. It's what dad would have wanted. Watch out, Dogma. I'm exaggerating somewhat, but our departure from the village is comically fast. We're not even old enough to drink yet, but there's adults asking us to murder all the slimes and grass goblins in our backyard. If a bunch of grown men can't handle these things, then maybe we actually deserve Dogma's wrath. Something in a nearby cave has been causing trouble for the villagers, but all we find there is an empty chamber with a locked door. Heading back home, we see a familiar face at the local tavern. It's Dunkichi, the sparrow from the opening. He somehow managed to survive and still remain an alcoholic for the past decade. He asks us if we'd like to avenge Jaso's death, and yes, he can speak. The brave bird soon joins our party, claiming he can unlock the cave door from earlier. This game contains something I don't think I've ever seen in any other RPG Maker game, a time-based day and night cycle. You get to see the sun rise and fall as you roam the world map. And there's unique nighttime interactions and dialogue for damn near every location in the game. People fall asleep even when you need to talk to them. Weirdos stay up late. Bandits roam around at night. It's not just time-based either. There's dozens of NPCs and all of them react differently to various story events. Great enemy design too, right up there with Shadowhearts. That has to be the funniest battle win jingle in video game history. It sounds so limp and awkward, like the punchline to the joke that is every encounter. We go through the door into an unsurprisingly monster-filled cave. Dunkichi is a strange character. He has no spells to speak of, but can wield 2 different weapons at once. Again, something I haven't really seen anywhere else. A portal leads us to a coven full of friendly witches. Lacus here claims that the only way to destroy Dogma is to unearth the long-lost Flying Stone. And to reach it, we must break its seal by collecting 4 sacred orbs held by Dogma's strongest servants all over the world. It's not an original premise in the slightest, and the game is very aware of that. Our character is silent, but Dunkichi does chime in with some amusing cynical commentary every now and then. He claims his powers come from being trained by Dar, which is cute. Our journey then takes us to the nearby town of Fulani, where locals are being kidnapped by a man named Gumachi, one of Dogma's minions. We're told all of this by none other than Gumachi's father, who begs us to kill his son before he can hurt anyone else. With our target in mind, we depart Fulani and head towards the town of happiness, just a light jog away. Everyone here treats this place like it's paradise. No disease, no hunger, it's a perfect utopia where all dreams come true. Donkichi calls bullshit on all this, and so do I. There is an outlier here, though. The inn is nice enough to let us stay the night for free, so let's do that. Yeah, that's about what I expected. The bright citizens of Ryajuville all cornered the poor creature and scald his sensitive soul with relentless mockery. They reveal their true forms as non-sentient puppets, programmed to torture and kill in the name of conformity. We intervene and run away into a building with the victim, who we find out is actually named Dokuo. I could say Dokuo is the best character in the game, but the truth is he wasn't created by Motaro or anyone in particular. He isn't even a character, really. Dokuo is real. It started, as all good things do, in a two-channel board. The Motenai Otoko board, to be precise. Roughly translated to lonely man, or unpopular man, or even mourning man. It's exactly what you'd expect. This is a forum where men who acknowledge, both to themselves and others, that they are unpopular with women can talk to one another. The following posts are strictly prohibited. 1. Posts by women or those pretending to be women. 2. Posts by men who fall into any of the following categories or those pretending to be as such. Men who are not virgins. Men who have been confessed to. Men who have female friends. Men who are popular with women or are well liked by women. 3. Posts by men who are not popular but have a positive attitude, such as wanting a girlfriend or wanting to be popular. 4. Posts about homosexuality or those pretending to be homosexual. The actual threads are of a similar character. A loser takes in the smell of a woman walking by. Unpopular guy's miscellaneous suffering. Loser talks about Guilty Gear. Why are only anime and eroge otaku criticized? I hope Mount Fuji erupts. Unpopular guy in Xenogears. Getting a girlfriend is harder than getting into the University of Tokyo. A loser who loves playing kusoge. Mom's back. I wish she'd just die. The upstairs neighbors are back. I wish they'd just die too. Are big breasts even real? If you're going to hate someone, hate the parasites. My sister found out I was cross-dressing and raped me with a dildo. We're not going to be popular anyway, so let's play the guitar. We're not popular anyway, so let's talk about erotic games, the 46th game in my backlog. I'm not popular anyway, so I'll do a game livestream, part 1158. We're not popular anyway, so let's take female hormones and become hormone girls. Somewhere around February of 2002, this ASCII character blew up in popularity after being posted on the board. Here we can see Dokuo in his natural habitat, curled up in an empty room as he is non-consensually subjected to the sounds of coitus from next door, before slithering over to his computer, same as it ever was. Dokuo is an abbreviation of the term Dokushin Otoko, meaning single man. As a pun, it's often written as poison man, since both single and poison are pronounced doku. Sometimes he even attempts to hang himself, but more often than not he fails to die. He quickly became a beloved character in his home board. Hell, his face became the default name for every single anon there. He then broke containment and spread throughout the underbelly of the Japanese internet. Meanwhile, RPG Maker was becoming immensely popular in Japan, and it's no wonder why. Its lightweight nature and relative ease of use combined with widespread internet access made it a surprisingly powerful tool. Anyone could make just about anything with it. Maybe not their dream games, maybe not a good or even finished game, but they could make something. Another board had become well aware of this. It was called VIP, or News for VIP at certain points. Its posters were naturally called Vippers. Despite what the name implies, there was nothing prestigious about the board. It was, as far as I can tell, the Japanese equivalent to 4chan's random board, and blatantly used as the site's trash can. This is where the Jannies would send you if you were causing too much trouble elsewhere on the site. The Vippers weren't an entirely malignant force. Much like their Western counterparts, they continually generated high-quality original content that defined much of early Japanese internet culture, ironically becoming very important people in their own way. They immediately latched onto RPG Maker, and thus the VIP RPG was born. A flood of amateur broken games starring various 2chan characters and memes. They were either playable jokes, sincere attempts at creative game design, or some bizarre mix of the two. Motenai also hopped on the trend, soon creating the Motoko RPG, almost all of them featuring Dokuo in various wacky situations. Now that the lethargic emo incels have been bullied into action by the pool's closed guys, let's carefully examine the fruits of their collective labor. I found a few websites that try to archive and preserve these games, along with the ancient threads in which they were devised. It's not a lot, but enough to get a feel for how it was back then. There's also dozens of download links for said games, and not a single one of them work. I did get to snoop around their files though, which is always fun. We're not popular anyway, so let's make an RPG. Is the name of a Motenai general that's been going on for longer than some of you have been alive. You can go from a decades-old thread where a non seethed with anger over RPG Maker 2003 requiring Windows XP, to a thread from last year where they're linking their stuff in itch.io. The thread I showed you at the start of this video is not directly related to either VIP or Motenai, but they're cut from the same cloth. Here's Onyanoko. It's a game starring Dokuo, and the only files left in its folder are the sprite and face sheets for him. In this screenshot, he ponders to himself about how awesome it would be if a cute girl just randomly materialized in his sad little apartment. At first glance, it looks like one of those 5-minute-long joke games, but the face sheet indicates multiple characters, so there was probably a whole adventure he goes on. When Dokuo becomes the hero, Hikikomori edition. This one is self-explanatory and has 3 whole screenshots for us to scrutinize. Hello, I'm Dokuo, the game's protagonist. I'll quickly explain the game's contents. I'm turning 25 this year, yet I still don't have a real job. I'm a worthless, unemployed loser. Here's the banner image for an even older, defunct Motoko RPG archive. The big purple text at the top reads, "Let's make Dokuo RPG Maker games." There's kanji for emotional or heartfelt stories, a reference to the generic Dokuo transformation subgenre, where he becomes cool or heroic, various noob questions and complaints about how hard and annoying it is to work on games, followed by the assertion, "But that's what makes it good." All topped off with a mysterious trip code in the bottom right. Here's a playable Motenai thread simulator. The protagonist, a socially awkward guy, tries to create a thread. The lonely man's meals are always solitary. Apparently, pressing this button allows you to see into people's minds. Experience the difference between handsome and unattractive men. The protagonist of this RPG is also a hikikomori. He seems depressed from the morning. I want to be popular. It's the eternal theme for us losers. Opening screen. A close-up of a cow. I'm not reading that one. Cool genre though. I wish that was a real thing. There's something very charming in how the Anons choose to portray themselves as the generic monsters included in the RPG Maker toolkit. This yellow punk skeleton seems to be a favorite of theirs. There's also this, which appears to be a genuine Unpunmon fan game, totally unrelated to Motenai. Insomnia Delusion. Bitter memories of middle school days. Loser Man Reincarnation. Say hello to George Lucas. Peter Pan Syndrome. The Christmas, download and available due to zip error. A machete suits middle school girls these days. I was chased by Barry and Jill. Golden Testicles. Prostitution Experience Log. Let's make Thai Curry. Eroge 5 Heart-Pounding Summer Camp. I can't take it anymore. The folder for Insomnia Delusion includes some cool-looking unfinished concept art. Another folder, simply called Rice, contains a bunch of CGs for different animal-themed endings for a game. I also found Santa Dokuo. In a folder for sound effects, I found what I think might be a voice clip from Chargeman Ken. Honestly, there's a lot of really cool leftover assets here. I feel bad leaving them out, but most of them just aren't relevant to the topic at hand. We figured we'd try holding some kind of event in the VIP RPG thread, but it's obviously turned into a complete mess. Anyone is welcome as long as you're an RPG Maker creator, regardless of age or gender. Doesn't matter if your project got eternaled, or if you only managed to make a shit game. The important thing is to just keep tinkering away. The website for the VIP RPG 2006 Golden Week Festival is loud and bright. The banner depicts two stock RPG Maker girls soaring through a blue sky. The festival makes fun of you and of itself. It proudly displays games such as I Want to Eat Underwear and I'm Making Fried Rice. 2 years later, another kind of festival was held. Welcome, fellow Eternalers. This is the Chunibyo Festival. Before participating, have a look over at the following rules. It doesn't have to all be Evil Eye stuff. So long as the atmosphere reeks of Chunibyo, it can be a short game, a long game, or even a shit game. You may ask, so what exactly counts as Chunibyo? We're not really sure either. Try using Google. Lastly, you're welcome to dig up the dark past you've kept sealed away. No, you should. Well then, we're looking forward to seeing what you come up with. The main page is sparse. Game icons and admin updates float in a sea of darkness with splotches of red. This time featuring the new titles, Plus Kai Dream Illusion of Space-Time Regression, and Black Sword White Wings. The last VIP RPG event I managed to uncover was the 2011 Denpa Festival. The website looks amazingly fancy compared to previous efforts. It's professional, cold, abstract, feels like an indie art exhibition. This illustration in particular is great just by itself. The games this time are all icons displayed in a grid, but unfortunately none of them are archived, so I can't even figure out their names. You'll just have to take my word for it. And by the way, here's an icon for the 2025 Golden Week Festival. I wasn't kidding, they're going to do this until the sun explodes. I only created a scene where the loser is in his room, but that's all there is to it. There's no way to develop the story from here. That's what you'd expect from a loser. Doraemon appears. What if the protagonist thinks he's an average-looking guy, but as the story progresses, he realizes he's actually a total loser? I don't want to replay my life. Dogma no Hakoniwa, which you'll remember is the main subject of this video, represents the struggles of not just its creator, but the entire online subculture that spawned it. This is something that goes far beyond Dokuo's inclusion. It's a game about its own players, about what it means to be someone drawn to things like this and all the good and bad that entails. I think it was made with a certain audience in mind, and there's a place in the narrative for them to fill. It's very reflective, but never in some judgmental, castigating way. This is not a game about how you need to touch grass and stop being weird, bro. This game is VIP and Motenai doing a Dragon Ball fusion, ending up as a work that exudes overwhelming pathos, while also having an Otakon 2007 sense of humor. And speaking of these people, I accidentally found the archives of an ancient message board called the Tiny-chan. I really have no clue what this is, other than possibly being some 4chan offshoot. Regardless, they had their own VIP board with threads dating as far back as 2004. I'm not sure if Channer culture was even an established thing in the Western internet at this point, or if they were just bizarrely copying the Japanese, but it's all pretty amusing. It's VIP quality after all. I'm of the Dokuo people from the Morning Village. I'm not bad at healing spells. I was on a journey as a wandering healer, but then I ended up in this town. This place crushed me down so much that I lost track of time. But I couldn't die. I was too scared of death, even though it would have been a mercy. Man, that sounds rough. Well done in enduring it for so long. Thank you. No one's offered me such kindness since Baltine was still around. Now that I'm done admiring the work of Japan's greatest minds, let's actually play Dogma. You'll recall we're still surrounded by the mass-produced dolls who are pretending to be normal, happy townspeople. This building has a secret entrance into yet another creepy cave, where we find various monsters and what appears to be a malfunctioning doll modeled after a bandit, who speaks of being powerless against Lord Gumachi. Clearly, he's way more than just an average kidnapper. Inside Gumachi's personal library, there's a register for the Town of Happiness, sitting right next to a list of people who've committed suicide and a book about dolls. We don't have to wonder what it all means for too long, since the man himself is like one room over. As far as I can tell, he uses the town to trap those he hates, slowly grinding them down until they either die by their own hand or get killed by the dolls, at which point they are converted into more puppets by Dogma's magic. The Town of Happiness is how Gumachi sees the world, a place where unfortunates such as him are crushed in order to sustain the happiness of others. Thanks to Dogma, he can now inflict that suffering on everyone else. Dokuo was to be his newest victim until we came along. Gumachi despises him for having some inherent value as a healer, despite his aggressive self-hatred. We then fight our first boss, and if you've ever played an RPG Maker game before, then you know exactly how this feels and how it played out. Dokuo can obviously heal you, but also has a series of increasingly powerful self-deprecation spells, where he bums the enemy out so much it physically hurts them. Upon defeat, Gumachi begs Dogma for help, and that goes as well as it did for the king. No sacred orb here, unfortunately. That Dogma is truly disgusting. I'm gonna punch him in the face one day. And here's what became of the Town of Happiness. Going back to Fulani, we report the good news to Gumachi's father and then meet a traveler from the east. It seems there's some trouble brewing over there, so we ought to go there next. The next chapter of our journey takes place in this castle town. The king is a perma-virgin shut-in who's recently become infatuated with a shady woman called Paxia, and gives her all his money as she's the first woman to approach him in over 30 years. Yeah, he felt that one. Let's go visit the town neat. Let's try that again. I'm scared of humans, but when someone is even a little kind to me, I catch feelings for them. That's troubling, don't you agree? Oh, I think I've said too much. Oh buddy, if only you knew what was going down at the castle. Paxia has effectively trapped the king in his chambers, and only shows up to extort money out of him. The castle guards can do nothing about it as she's a very powerful sorceress. The Prime Minister asks for our help. He's requested the reclusive artisan Hanpa to make a duplicate key so the king's men can enter his room and stage an intervention. Our goal is to retrieve the key. I know this game is like 90% stock assets in music, but it uses them to great effect. All that happens in this scene is we meet Hanpa and get acquainted with his snobby self, but the warped MIDI track in the background makes everything feel very strange regardless. Hanpa is evidently a huge fan of Sero, the old hero who became a famous writer and mangaka. His portrait doesn't look even remotely like a sprite. Hanpa's skills further reflect his tortured artist shtick. He does fire damage by throwing burning pages of his own writing at people. His offensive MIDI skill has a chance to inflict confusion on all enemies. Our party is now complete. None of these guys are super profound characters, but I like them a lot. They feel like very genuine and relatable depictions of internet people. We manage to contact the king, but Paxia arrives just in time for a fight to go down. I love how monstrous her battle sprite looks compared to her face graphic. She actually goes on to survive this fight and seduce yet another king later in the story, and when we fight them as a duo, his sprite is equally as distorted. The few unique assets Dogma does have are used to their full potential, like its comically disturbing enemy designs. What looks like a generic goblin in the overworld will actually be some grotesque monster or abstract humanoid thing. Next up, we'll visit the Toxic Sea, an area where poison damage is constant and unavoidable unless you wear protective equipment. We're actually quite close to what remains of Rakilni Castle and the Flying Stone itself, though we can't activate it without the orbs. The Toxic Sea town is as miserable as you'd expect, even lacking any background music. The people here are very reverent of the old heroes. Downstairs we find a talking robot who claims to have no friends. And coincidentally, we also read a book about a lonely sailor who built a ship and traveled the world in search of friends, only to end up alone. Going west, we find a tower entirely populated by the same robot we saw back at Toxic Town. Curiously, all the robots seem to share a single consciousness, that of the sailor we just read about. It's as if he made more of himself just to have a shred of company. The party agrees to become his friends, but he doubts our intentions and orders us to complete a test. We are to recover a proof of friendship from the basement. The game's had plenty of dark humor up until this point, but here's where things start getting genuinely uncomfortable. Many of the sailor's robot clones have seemingly gone mad from solitude, and will attack us while still muttering about friendship. We basically learned the sailor's entire life story down here, from his desperate attempts at connecting with others to just giving up entirely. He tried to paint and write his struggles, but naturally received no attention. Every time we find a proof of friendship, it turns out to be a fake. When I grow up, I want to make my own country and become a king. Why? Because if I become king, everyone will have to be kind to me. I think that if everyone is kind to me, then I will be able to be kind to everyone too. I want to have friends. This world is nothing but malicious. This rotten world deserves to be destroyed. I won't listen to their pleas for mercy. They should grovel before me and then they should just vanish. I want power, not physical strength nor magical might. I wish for a great power of a different sort. For example, something like Dogma, which triggered the Great War. Something that could destroy everything. Everything in this world is scary. I don't want to interact with anyone at all anymore. Humans are truly terrifying. I can't be friends with them. Inhabitants of fictional worlds are wonderful. They have no hostility to me. I want to be friends with them. I wish I had been born into their world. I have realized I am an eternal outcast. I can only see one person, the me within myself. That person within me is wounded. I built up my castle walls in a deep moat. From within, I can see no one else. Did I ever want friends? I wonder. Someone help me. No, I give up. Even after beating the area boss, we don't get a real proof of friendship. All that's left to do is go back up and tell him the truth, which actually causes him to respect us for our honesty and kindness. By rejecting his pleas for friendship, we ironically became the first people he could consider friends. He even gives us his ship as a reward. Look at us, we're in a whole new continent, one populated by dismembered leg monsters. Heading over to the town of Prokia, we discovered the source of the issue right away. The local nobleman sold his soul to Dogma in order to kidnap as many women as he can for their legs. His wife once had a prosthetic leg and her recent death drove him to madness. There are no women left in Prokia. The town square has become a grotesque fetish monument of severed legs and feet. A man watches over the display, puking uncontrollably as he recognizes one of the tangled limbs as belonging to his missing wife. And yes, it still plays that same generic cheery town music. The good news is the nobleman actually has one of the sacred orbs we've been looking for, so we can finally stop digging around. His castle is littered with hundreds of legs, all of them assigned a name, age, and rating. Of course, his wife Sophia's legs are placed by his side in the throne room. Anyway, I beat him first try and took the orb, which is something I totally have footage of. What I'd like to show you next, though, is both my favorite and least favorite area in Dogma. If you go through Hanpa's books back at his house, you'll find a note from him talking about an artist commune supposedly created by the hero Sero. He mentions being interested in it, but concludes he hates people too much to live there. Well, we're here now, and the first thing we see upon going inside is a guy getting dragged off to the basement. There's plenty of creatives living here, but they're more like prisoners than anything else. The new boss of this place is someone called Rook, clearly another of Dogma's lackeys, an unsuccessful writer who became resentful of those around him who possessed all he lacked. Fame, talent, creativity. What happened next is obvious. There's nothing more frightening than the grudge of an incompetent, unsuccessful creator. That was the problem with Rook. Those who run out of material get devoured by Rook. But then he devours those who are too talented as well. I don't even know what to do anymore. In this town, you have to dedicate all you make to Rook. Paintings, music, writing, cooking, and all else. Rook devours all art. This was the hero Sero's room. Rook vandalized it. I think these were the hero Sero's novels, but they've all been burned to ashes. Someone added an unofficial sequel to one of Sero's novels. There's a very minor character called Miradol who I'm convinced was added as some kind of jab towards someone. He's a bald, fat old man who writes awful, boring shit but is hailed as a genius by his sycophants. He comes up at least twice before this moment, and is established as someone Hanpa knows and clearly hates. We encounter Miradol inside Rook's house accompanied by his very own game developer team. The things they say here feel way too specific not to be drawn from personal experience. That goes for everything here, really. Creatively speaking, I'm already dead. I became too worried about too many things, so I couldn't finish anything anymore. I've only read manga, and even then I haven't read much. I'm done for. I've tried playing the guitar, but I can't learn the chords. Hello? Mom? I gave it all I got for 10 years, but it seems I just don't have any talent. I've grown to hate creating things so much I want to die. The basement of Rook's house is infested with grieving spirits and enemies literally called Chunibyo and Evil Eye. In case you were wondering, the Evil Eye, or Jakime, is a staple of the Chuni condition. Pretending or earnestly believing that your body parts, most typically your eyes or arms, are cursed or hold some kind of dormant power. Envy is here too, of course. You know, I find it nearly impossible to relate to anything or anyone. I fully removed myself from the world at a very young age, and as a result I've been denied almost every part of being human. So when something like this comes along and repeats some of my most enduring thoughts almost verbatim to me, it kind of catches me off guard. This doesn't feel like a sterile, detached exploration of dark themes, so much as it's just born from those things and steeped in them. It feels real. Dokuo's self-deprecation has now become so powerful it's causing over 100 damage every turn. Hanpa also learns the RPG Maker God's Curse, an instant death spell dooming all enemies to eternal development. As if the slight emotional damage wasn't enough, this place is also where the worst moment of the entire game takes place. I'm just going to spoil the following puzzle for you so you don't have to suffer like I did. In one of the side rooms there's a portrait bearing the numbers 3852. There is no keypad where you might input said numbers. What you actually need to do is head to the spot where 8 paintings are displayed. As you can see, they emit a buzzing noise when interacted with, despite no indication this was possible. Just press each painting correspondent to the number you found. Now a door has been unlocked, allowing you to meet Rook face to face. This took me so long to figure out, I left and did almost everything else in the game before coming back. Past a hallway filled with unused instruments and broken computers, we find the man who was dragged away earlier. He's trying to reason with Rook, but gets written out of existence. If you examine every bookshelf in the basement, you'll come across fragments of Rook's masterpiece, a picture book about the adventures of Orkun and Slykichi. Comes off as very cloying and simplistic, almost like a children's fairy tale. The captive man actually brings them up. What are you wishing for that's worth disgracing your own characters like this? After this, Orkun and Slykichi materialize before us and support Rook in the ensuing boss fight. If we defeat them, he just creates them again the next turn. Since the boss is named Rook's Grudge, and his sprite is also another spirit, It could be that what we're fighting isn't necessarily Rook, but some Dogma-powered amalgamation of all his jealousy and hatred. He apologizes to his own characters before fading away, and then both Orkun and Slykichi willingly follow their creator to their deaths. He drops both a broken sacred orb and a copy of his precious story. During my travels, Hanpa learned the Thread Stopper spell, meaning he's probably the kind of guy that bakes too early in generals just to feel like he's doing something. Welcome to the Morning Village, Dokuo's hometown. I couldn't possibly end our little tour without showing you this place. And yes, it has a theme song with lyrics and everything. I can't tell what it says, but it does mention penises a lot. The Morning Village is suffering from a severe bandit infestation, and their local deity, the God of Morning, has neglected to protect the village so he can play with his fancy new wig. There's also a scary-ass evil basement. It's a nice place, honestly. I wouldn't have it any other way. There is much more to Dogma. I reckon I've only shown 40-ish% of the game, just enough to get across its general atmosphere and the parts I'm interested in. I will now attempt to describe my feelings on it as a whole, and I will briefly touch upon the ending, so if you feel motivated to play it, now would be the time. I think it's fairly obvious that the character of Dogma is meant to be this demiurgic figure, inflicting arbitrary chaos and suffering. But unlike your average evil RPG god, he has no great plan or ideology. In a way, he seems almost indifferent towards his own cruelty. They say Dogma disappeared after the Great War, but if I had to guess, I'd say that was less a human doing and more him just getting bored and putting his toys away for a while. Hell, the last thing he says before the final boss fight is, "Now, become my entertainment." The whole game is bursting with frustration and restlessness, a lot of it redirected towards haphazard creative pursuits, and Dogma is the ultimate manifestation of that. Gumachi used the very concept of a happy RPG town as a trap to torment and destroy outcasts like himself. The sailor traveled the world on a ship and yet found nothing but solitude and misery wherever he went. Rook's stories were rejected by the world, and so he became a spirit, devouring creation itself. And Dogma's sole reason for being is to corrupt and destroy the innocence of this world he hates, setting up hopeful stories of good versus evil just to sadistically tear them down in an almost self-flagellating manner. Dogma is the Viper's final form. The question of whether or not Dogma truly made this world or just intruded upon it doesn't really matter. But I'd say they're both valid interpretations. He can create and destroy compulsively, but that's all he can do. Everything is done out of spite. Dogma will strike down random NPCs as they're talking to you, and he does this so often it's a running joke. There's nothing good about being alive. I wish someone would just kill me already. It's over. Everything is done for. I have nothing left. I wanna die. This quaint RPG Maker world was driven completely insane by him. There's no escape. His laughter flows through the air and into your very dreams. If you were to put up a counter of how many times conversations in this game randomly take a hard turn into suicidal ideation, it would probably end up at around 30 or more. One of the game's final areas is called the Town of Despair, and it's a straight-up soul prison where the inhabitants are tortured by Dogma for eternity. They still do what they're programmed to do. They sell you items, share rumors and hints, except they beg you for help all the while. Once they're all gone, the music stops abruptly. Things weren't so twisted back during the prologue. Jeizo and the other heroes were more or less normal RPG characters. Brave, quirky adventurers taking on the ultimate evil, who are then devoured by it. And here's us, their atrophied, bumbling descendants, duct taping the world together long enough to have a dignified little Dragon Quest pity ending before it all falls apart again. And I know it will, because this is what the final seconds of the ending are like. There are like 4 other games after all. Our journey is a pointless battle against Dogma's tortured misanthropic authorship, a desperate attempt to create something good and sincere out of endless misery, an act of mercy towards a world deserving none. This is an edgy RPG Maker game about edgy RPG Maker games, their creators and their players. I found it extremely poignant, not just because I love works of art that essentially boil down to a person cutting themselves, but because I've been here before. I've been here too many times to count. Check this shit out. I made it nearly 10 years ago. It was originally meant to be a 5-minute long joke game. Someone gifted me RPG Maker VX Ace and I felt obligated to do something with it. This is the first enemy, a melted together Ronald Reagan flesh monster, and you fight him to slow down distorted porn video samples. That was fun for a day or two, but then the irony barrier suddenly came down, and I found myself thinking about all the ideas I had, all the things I could never express due to a lack of talent or discipline or whatever else. I had all the time in the world to learn these things, and even a program to put them through, but I knew deep down there was no way I'd put in the effort. Still, I had to release something, and the result was this self-indulgent mess. It wasn't funny, it regularly veered into disturbing subject matter, and yet all of it masochistically centered around myself. Everything in it is something I've heard or done or thought about. I know at least 3 or 4 people that played through this thing, but there was nothing in it for them. There's no characters, no narrative, no jokes they could understand, just contrived self-hatred. At some point it went from being a gift to a vanity project. Instead of simply trying to make what I had in my mind, I spent over 2 months making something about how I can't make anything. I don't really blame myself for this, since no possible outcome would have satisfied me anyway. This wasn't new for me. I'd already done this whole song and dance with horror videos and music 1,000 times over, and at no point did I get anything from it. All that changed was the medium. And you know what? I came back for seconds 2 years later with a whole other game, and I tried considerably harder this time, and it still wasn't worth it. I was learning guitar around this time too. That lasted for about 5 or 6 months. I think I still have it somewhere in my room. You can see I wasn't kidding when I said Dogma was relatable. Now, I'm not delusional enough to claim this means I'm some OG hardcore otaku vipper or anything like that, but it is interesting how I arrived at a similar place as Motaro and everyone else, basically on my own. And now they're all gone. I caught the very tail end of the human internet, and now I squat in the ruins of what they've made, trying to make sense of what's left behind. I certainly don't have the best sense of timing, considering I thought it a good idea to make a YouTube game analysis channel in 2025. Even Motaro's blog only exists as an incomplete archive from a decade ago. I found some very charming art in it though. Hopefully he's okay with me showing these wherever he is. I guess I'll find out if I receive some angry Japanese comment in the future. In any case, it's not as though the natives of the internet were all mysteriously raptured or whatever. I think most of them just instinctively understand that there's no real point being here anymore. I do not know what happened to the creator of Penis Man. He could have left the internet entirely and become a salaryman with 4 kids. He could have jumped in front of a train. He could have simply lingered in silence like so many others did, upon realizing their home wasn't theirs anymore. I think Motaro might have felt a similar way. Shunya's Empty Box, the last game in the Dogma series, was released in 2014. 1 year later, he left a private comment on his blog. "Thank you for playing. It's already been a year since Shunya. It's almost hard to believe how much passion I had back then. Though they have all perished, the enigma that is the world goes on forever, and in time it will once again conceive life." I hope he's right. I hope I get to play it someday.
Hidori